Is Christmas really Christmas without a cheesy Hallmark movie? Sometimes you just need a predictable, formulaic, festive romance movie to lift your mood, and these movies on Netflix are exactly the kind of feel-good magic the season calls for. Mean Girls really was a pipeline for future Christmas movie stars between Jonathan Bennett, Lindsay Lohan, and Lacey Chabert. The latter stars as Dr. Lindsay Morgan, who travels to Scotland with her estranged brother to visit their mother. It wouldn't be a Hallmark movie without some bombshell secrets coming to light during the festive season. Refreshingly, this is more of a family story than a romance movie. Of course, that doesn't mean there's no romance. It's just not the primary focus by any means. Mean Girls fans will enjoy Chabert's reunion with her former co-star, Scott Wolf, Brad. And if you don't realize it right away, you probably will after hearing the many references to the 90s drama. We love a good "a celebrity falls for the only person who has no clue who they are" story. In the case of Christmas at Notting Hill, pro soccer player Graham develops feelings for the straight-laced special ed teacher Georgia. When Georgia spends Christmas with her sister in London, she meets Graham. As is often the case, the two butt heads before finding some common ground. It's easy to see why someone in the spotlight would be wary about dating without having any certainty whether or not the person is interested in them or their persona. Given that they're both fairly closed off, Graham and Georgia have some work to do. We've seen this trope and we'll see it again. Emily is forced to head home for the holidays when her plans are shattered by a rough breakup. Frankly, the very thought of a homeowners association sounds awful enough to avoid suburban life like the plague. Emily gets that, as her childhood friend and homeowners association president Jared forces her to pick up all of her parents' Christmas duties when they head to Florida and leave her alone for Christmas. It's not surprising that the hefty amount of work makes it difficult for her to actually enjoy the holidays. You can probably guess which romantic trope happens from there. Years ago, Mona left her small town to become a brand ambassador in New York City. Can you guess what happens next? The unlucky in love city transplant comes home for Christmas for the town's annual holiday carnival, where she has to choose between two suitors. One of the more special components of the film comes from the fact that Mona's reconnection with her family and hometown focuses on her culture, customs, and community. It goes deeper than the usual candy cane-loving small-town charm vibe we're used to seeing. You know, a place called Christmas Island is going to be a festive paradise. Naturally, career-focused Kate has to rediscover her love for Christmas, a holiday she hasn't celebrated since her dad passed when she was a teenager. Kate, a pilot, gets stranded in air traffic controller Oliver's hometown during a blizzard alongside the Sharp family she was flying. Meanwhile, we have an enemies-to-lovers storyline that plays out between Kate and Oliver, while the Sharps learn their own lessons. We don't see a lot of ensemble Hallmark movies, but Christmas on Cherry Lane fills that void with a trio of couples that share equal runtime. Anyone who's a fan of This Is Us will probably vibe with the movie's setup, which focuses on the residents of a single house during different decades, beginning in the 70s and ending in 2023. Unlike most Christmas movies, there are actually a few surprises in this one. Formulaic films are definitely fan favorites for a reason, but it's still a nice change of pace to see a unique setup that challenges what we've come to expect. We all love the rinse and repeat plots we've come to expect from Christmas romances, but it's always refreshing when one spices things up. A Biltmore Christmas isn't your average small-town girl moves back to her hometown after a bad breakup plot. Instead, it centers on screenwriter Lucy, who finds herself sent to the past, smack in the middle of the set of the 1947 movie, His Merry Wife. Obviously, the fictional film is meant to emulate the actual 1946 classic, It's a Wonderful Life. As is par for the course, Lucy has to overcome her jaded tendencies while battling the butterfly effect to prevent altering the timeline.